They told me the old hotel on Cliff Road had been empty for 44 years. I should have asked why that number kept showing up in the brochure. Should have asked why the reservation system automatically assigned me room 44. Should have asked a lot of things. But I was tired, and it was late, and the rain was coming down so hard I couldn't see the road. So I took the key, and I walked into a place that had been waiting for me long before I was born. My name is Danny. I'm a travel writer, which sounds more glamorous than it is. Mostly I stay in budget motels and write listicles about the best diners off Interstate 80. But this assignment was different. A small magazine wanted a piece on forgotten destinations, past places that time left behind. The Cliffside Hotel was their top pick. Built in 1948, closed in 1979, recently renovated by a mysterious investor who refused to give his name. The photos online were gorgeous. Vaulted ceilings, original hardwood floors, a lobby fireplace big enough to roast a pig, and every single photo had a ghost in it, not an actual ghost. I don't believe in that stuff. But something was off. The light didn't fall right. The shadows seemed to lean. I arrived at 11 p.m. The parking lot was empty except for a single sedan, dark blue, with a bumper sticker that said 44, just the number. No state, no slogan, just white letters on a black background, 44. I parked my rental next to it and walked to the front door. It was unlocked. The lobby was lit by a single lamp on the front desk, and behind the desk stood a man who looked like he hadn't slept in 44 years. "Mr. Calloway?" I asked. That was the name on my confirmation. He nodded. He didn't speak, just slid a key across the counter. Brass heavy, with a fob that had the number 44 stamped into it. I waited for him to say something. Check-in instructions, breakfast hours, anything. He just stared at me with eyes the color of wet asphalt. "Is there a problem?" I asked. "No problem," he said. His voice was dry, like paper crumbling. "You're in room 44, top of the stairs, end of the hall. Don't open the door at the other end." "Which other end?" He didn't answer. He turned and walked through a door behind the desk, closing it softly behind him. I stood there for a minute, listening to the rain, then picked up my bag and headed for the stairs. The hotel had 4 floors. My room was on the 4th. The stairs creaked under my feet, each step groaning like it remembered something painful. The walls were covered in old photographs, black and white shots of the hotel in its heyday. Guests in formal wear, a string quartet in the corner, a woman in a white dress laughing at something off camera. I stopped at the 3rd floor landing to look at one photo. It was a picture of a little girl, maybe 6 years old, standing in front of the fireplace. She was holding a piece of paper. I squinted. The paper had a number on it, 44. I climbed the last flight. The 4th floor hallway was narrow, lined with doors on either side, 41, 42, 43, and then 44 at the very end. To my left, at the opposite end of the hall, was another door, no number, just a brass plate that had been scratched blank. The door that man had told me not to open. I went into my room. It was beautiful. A 4-poster bed, a fireplace that had been converted to electric, a window that looked out over the cliffs. The rain streaked the glass, turning the ocean into a dark, heaving blur. I unpacked my bag, set up my laptop, and tried to shake the feeling that someone was watching me. I told myself it was the isolation, the weather, the weird check-in. I took a shower and went to bed. I woke up at 4:44 a.m. not because of a noise, because the silence was too loud. The rain had stopped. The wind had stopped. Even the old building's usual creaks and groans had gone quiet. I lay there in the dark, listening to my own heartbeat, when I realized I wasn't alone. Someone was breathing in the corner of the room. Soft, rhythmic, the breath of a sleeping child. I reached for the lamp. My hand touched the switch, but before I could turn it on, a voice spoke. "Don't." It was a little girl's voice, small, high, but not afraid. "Calm. Patient, who are you?" I whispered. "I'm the one who's been waiting, 44 years. I was here when they closed the hotel. I was here when they opened it again. I'm always here. You're the first person to stay in this room since 1979. My hand was shaking on the lamp switch. "What do you want?" "The same thing I've always wanted. Someone to finish the count." I turned on the lamp. The corner was empty. No child, no breath, just a small wooden chair with a crayon drawing on the seat. I picked it up. A stick figure, me I assumed, standing in a doorway. Above the doorway the number 44, and in the corner of the drawing a date, today's date, but the year was 1979. I spent the rest of the night in the lobby, huddled under a blanket, watching the front door. No one came. The man behind the desk didn't reappear. At dawn, I went back to my room, packed my bag, and tried to leave. The front door was locked, so was the back door, so were the windows. I checked my phone. No signal. The landline behind the front desk was dead. I was trapped. That's when I started exploring. The hotel was bigger than it looked from outside. Hallways led to hallways. Staircases led to staircases. Every floor had a door at the end of the hall, scratched blank, and every time I passed one, I heard breathing on the other side. Not the same breathing. Different breaths, different rhythms, as if each door held a different person, or a different piece of the same person. I found the library on the second floor. Thousands of books, all with the same title, The Counting. I pulled one off the shelf. The pages were blank except for the number 44, written on every page in a different hand. Some were neat cursive, some were shaky, desperate scratches. Some were childlike block letters. I grabbed another book. Same thing. Another. Same thing. Every book in the library was a record of the number, written by every guest who had ever stayed here. I found the kitchen on the first floor. The refrigerator was stocked with fresh food, but the expiration dates were all from 1979. I opened a carton of milk. It smelled fine. I poured a glass. It tasted like nothing. Not water, not milk, just absence. I spit it out. I found the ballroom on the third floor. The photographs from the hallway were there, blown up to life size, hanging on the walls, dozens of them. And in every photograph, the same little girl. In the background, in the foreground, sometimes just a hand or a foot, but always there, always watching. In one photo, she was standing directly behind a young couple at their wedding, her face pressed between them, smiling. The couple looked happy. They didn't seem to notice her. I spent hours in that ballroom, staring at the photos, trying to understand, and then I saw it. In the corner of the last photo, a small wooden door, the same door from the end of the fourth floor hallway, the one I wasn't supposed to open. The photo was dated 1948. The year the hotel opened, I went back to the fourth floor. The door was still there, still blank. Still, I stood in front of it for a long time, listening. The breathing had stopped. In its place was a soft, rhythmic counting. The little girl's voice, but older now, weary. 41, 42, 43, 44. A pause. Then, "Are you ready?" I didn't answer. I reached for the handle. It was cold. Colder than metal should be. I turned it. The door opened onto a staircase, narrow, wooden, descending into absolute darkness. I couldn't see the bottom. I couldn't see the walls. Just steps, one after another, fading into black. The air that rose up smelled like crayons and old paper and something else. Something sweet, like flowers left in a closed room for too long. 44 steps, the voice said. It was behind me now. I turned. The little girl was standing in the hallway, wearing a white dress, holding a single red crayon. Her hair was brown, her eyes were dark, and her face was the same face from the photographs. She hadn't aged a day in 44 years.
"You're the 44th guest,"
she said. The others stopped at 43. They turned back. They couldn't finish. But you're different. You're a writer. You understand stories. You know that every number has to end somewhere. And where? I asked. She pointed down the staircase, at the beginning, at the door that brought me here. I was counting the steps from my room to the lobby. 44 steps. I was running to meet my mother for breakfast. I got to 43, and I tripped. I fell down these stairs, and when I woke up, I was here, in the hotel, and the hotel wouldn't let me leave. It said I had to find someone to finish the count, someone who would walk down all 44 steps and open the door at the bottom. Then I could go home. She held out her hand. The crayon was warm, almost hot. Will you do it? Will you count with me? I should have said no. I should have run back to my room and broken a window and jumped into the ocean. But the hotel was in my head now. I could feel it pushing me toward the stairs, the same way a current pushes a swimmer toward a waterfall. I took the crayon. I took her hand, and together we walked down. The first step was the hardest. The darkness swallowed the light from the hallway. The second step, the door closed behind us. The third step, I couldn't hear anything but our breathing and our counting. 1, she said. 2, 3. The stairs creaked under our weight. The walls were close, covered in more drawings, stick figures, doors, numbers. 44, over and over in red and blue and black. 4, 5, 6. The air grew colder. My breath fogged. The little girl's hand was the only warm thing in the darkness. 7, 8, 9. I started to see things in the corners of my eyes. Shapes, faces. The previous guests, the ones who had turned back at 43. They were pressed against the walls watching us pass. Their mouths were open, but no sound came out. They were still counting, silently. Forever. 10, 11, 12. The stairs seemed to go on for miles. My legs ached. My lungs burned. But the girl kept pulling me forward, her small hands steady, her voice unwavering. 13, 14, 15. I realized then that the steps were not just physical. Each one was a year, a memory, a moment of my life that I was walking away from. I felt my childhood slip away at step 16, my first love at step 17, my mother's face at step 18, 19, 20, 21. I tried to pull back. I tried to let go of her hand, but my fingers were locked. The crayon had melted between our palms, fusing us together. 22, 23, 24. The stairs began to change. They were no longer wood. They were stone. Old stone, worn smooth by decades of footsteps. The walls were no longer plaster. They were dirt. The roots of trees hung down like fingers. 25, 26, 27. We were no longer in the hotel. We were underground, in a cave, in a place that predated the building, the town, maybe the continent. The little girl's white dress glowed in the dark. 28, 29, 30. I could see the bottom now. A landing, a door, the same white door from the photographs, but older. Moss grew on the frame. The brass knob was green with age. 31, 32, 33. The girl started to cry, silent tears that left tracks on her cheeks. I've been trying to reach this door for 44 years. Every time I get close, the person with me turns back. They get scared. They let go. And I have to start over. 34, 35, 36. I squeezed her hand. I'm not letting go. 37, 38, 39. We reached the landing. The door was inches away. I could see writing on it carved into the wood. The same number over and over in languages I didn't recognize. 44. In English, in Latin, in symbols that predated writing. 40, 42. The girl stepped in front of me. She placed her free hand on the door. It glowed just for a moment, then faded. 43, she whispered. This is where I always lose them. They get to 43 and they stop. They think the door will open on its own, but it won't. You have to say the last number. You have to mean it. You have to be the one who finishes the count. I looked at the door. Behind it, I could hear a woman's voice, young, frantic, calling a name. Alina? Elena, where are you? Breakfast is ready, the girl. Alina smiled. That's my mother. She's been calling for 44 years. She never stopped. She's still at the top of the stairs, waiting for me to come up. But I can't go up. I have to go through. She looked at me. Say it, please. I opened my mouth. The number was there, heavy on my tongue. 44. 2 syllables, 4 letters. A number that had haunted me since I walked into this hotel. I thought about the man at the front desk, about the books in the library, about the photographs and